Hi friends, welcome to EduTap. So welcome to today's live session where we shall be discussing the ESI section that was asked in NABARD Grade A 2017 examination. Now friends, this is a memory based paper and we have tried to the maximum to align the questions with the exact paper that was asked in 2017 examination. Now yesterday we had a live session which was regarding the GA analysis. So kindly watch that also. It's an important session. You can also watch the recorded sessions of these live sessions that we are taking. Now friends, why actually are we doing this analysis? Because most of us would actually have this paper in our hands. So the real motive behind coming up with this analysis is we actually need to be aware about the various kind of questions that are asked, and we need to be aware and be able to link those questions to the syllabus. Only when we do such thing, we can actually make sense of what kind of questions are there in the paper. So friends, this kind of analysis becomes really important because there are two things: the time is very less and we need to strategize our preparation well. And for these two things, it becomes very important for us to break down each question that was asked in the examination, and on those lines prepare for the coming examination, right? So that is why we are presenting to you this kind of analysis. Now within this week we shall also be coming out with the ARD section analysis that was asked in NABARD Grade A 2017 examination. Now friends, before we move forward, let me just tell you what EduTap has to offer regarding NABARD Grade A 2018 course. So basically we offer two courses. One is Phase 1 plus Phase 2 full video course. It covers everything. We have 10 full-length mock tests regarding to Phase 1, and in Phase 2 we have covered ESI plus ARD in detail, and there is also current affairs which forms an important part of this particular course. Now the MRP of this course is 10,000, but we are running a flat 30% off. In order to avail the discount, kindly use the coupon code NABARD30. And there is a new course that we have launched recently, that is the Current Affairs Punch course. Basically this module that we have launched contains all the important current affairs related to the examination, be it the budget, be it the economic survey, the various census, the annual reports of various ministries, and as well as the NABARD's annual report. So these PIB, then ESI and ARD monthly magazines. So it is a comprehensive current affairs course. You would get this for rupees 3,000 after a discount which is valid till 30th April 2018. You can directly go to the portal and buy this course for rupees 3,000. You need not use any coupon code for buying this particular course. Now friends, let us move ahead with today's session. So before we begin with analyzing the questions, it's very important for us to know the importance of ESI in Phase 1, that is a prelims examination. Friends, it gives us actually 40 solid marks. And as we had also discussed earlier that sections like, reasoning or quants or English, they may be unpredictable to us, okay? Even after a good amount of preparation, there are chances that we might score less in these sections. And obviously these sections are time consuming. But there are other sections like computer knowledge, general awareness that we had discussed yesterday. There is this ESI section, ARD section. So these sections consume very less time because there isn't much solving that is involved, and if you know the answer, sure you're going to get 1 mark out of each question, right? So that is why it forms a very important part of our strategy. Next friends, let us have a look at the overall cutoff. This is for the general category and general discipline that we are having a look at. So the cutoff was 109.25. So friends, you really need to be aware of the cutoff. So accordingly you can strategize your preparation. It gives you a sense of awareness regarding the competition that exists, right? So you need to play on your strengths and improve upon your weakness. That is very essential. Now here we are having a look at the sectional cutoff. So since we are having a discussion regarding the ESI section in the Phase 1, so we shall only have a look at what was the cutoff for ESI section, right? So out of 40 marks, the cutoff for unreserved was 2. Okay, just 2 marks. So what do we actually analyze out of it? The analysis here is you really don't need to struggle to pass this particular section. Passing is going to be a cakewalk for you guys, right? So the only thing you need to concentrate upon is that you need to maximize your scores through these sections. Okay, so yesterday also we had drawn this understanding when we had analyzed the GA cutoff as well. Okay, so now what we shall be doing, we shall be going ahead by discussing each question. So there are a total of 40 questions, so kindly have patience. Now what we are going to do is each question we are going to link it to the topic, like in the ESI, where does this question fit? Okay, and then we are going to see the broader category, whether is it a current affairs based question, whether is it a static question, because usually when it comes to ESI there's always a tussle whether static portion is important, whether we really need to have a look at static portion, whether only current affairs are going to be coming in the examination. So basically some of your doubts regarding this are definitely going to be solved after you are done with this particular live session. So let us just move forward. So let us discuss the first question. So Elevate 100 is a scheme to identify and nurture innovative startups. The scheme has been launched by which of the following states? Okay, so first it is something related to employment generation, so we have linked it to that particular topic. The answer to this question is Karnataka. Now friends, this question comes under current affairs. Okay, so you need to know that whatever are the recent schemes, whatever are any app or any portal that has been launched by the government or even the state governments, it automatically becomes important. So when you see that this kind of question is asked, what should be your next step? You should make a note of all such schemes that have been released by the government as well as the state governments. Now the next question is, under the housing scheme, the EPFO allowed its subscriber to withdraw how much percentage of its EPF accumulations to buy homes? Now again, this particular question is linked to the employment generation topic of our syllabus, right? And the answer to this question is up to 90%. So friends, you need to understand that though it is related to EPFO, which is obviously a concept which each one of us know, but there was a recent announcement that was made at that point of time. So regarding that announcement, they have framed this question. So what is the understanding that we are taking away from this question? That we need to keep a tab on all the announcement that the government or the major institutions in India make. Next comes, who headed the committee set up to recommend ways to deal with employment data discrepancies and its reliable solutions? Now, this particular committee was headed by Mr. Arvind Panagriya, and this particular question can be linked to the employment generation topic. Now, obviously, it comes under the broader topic of current affairs. Now, friends, yesterday when we were discussing the GA section, there also we had come across a question which was related to committee. So, you need to understand that there is no particular watertight compartment. This point I had mentioned earlier also yesterday. So while you're preparing for GA, unknowingly you might prepare for ESI. The same as vice versa is true, right? Even when you're preparing for ESI or ARD, there might be certain things that you might find it in GA paper or GA section. Okay, so when you prepare a list of committees, make sure that you memorize the recent ones that are also important, and as well as the important committees that were formed in the before, not maybe current. Okay, so the next question is, Central Statistics has changed the base year of IIP, that is Index of Industrial Production, from 2004-5 So this was an important announcement, and the answer to this question is 2011-12. This can be mapped to the industrial and labor policy. Now, though IIP is a static concept, still they have asked a question which was related to the change that was made in the base year. So basically, they have framed a question from the important announcement. So automatically this question becomes a part of current affairs, right? So you need to make sure that whatever changes the government is doing, you should keep a tab on it. Now the next question, UBI is a form of social security in which all citizens or residents of a country receive a regular unconditional sum of money through government. So what is the full form of UBI? Now the answer to this question is universal basic income, right? And this particular question can be mapped to employment generation. Now friends, this is a concept, okay? So that is why this comes under the broader category of concept or static. So whenever you come across certain terms, make sure that you understand the concept behind it. This UBI was also mentioned number of times in the budget. There was an article about it in the previous one. So again, it becomes important to you. So this gives you an understanding that just don't blindly memorize the terms. Go into the depth and understand what that term means. Okay. Next question. So what is the budget allocation for recapitalization of bank in lines with the Indradhanush roadmap? So this is the answer to this question is 10,000 crore, and this particular question can be linked to the financial institutions in India topic, and obviously because it is something which is related to the allocation that was made during that time, it can fall under the broader category of current affairs. Now what is the takeaway from this? We need to be aware of important allocations the government makes from time to time. Not only the allocations that is made in the union budget, but also maybe in between the year, there are a number of times the government comes out with such allocations or announcements. So keep a tab on such announcements that the government makes. Next question. So which of the following is the title of the Indian Economic Survey 2017 released by OECD? Now the answer to this question is strong reforms and boosting inclusive growth. Okay. Now this particular question can actually be linked to regional economic cooperation. This comes under the broader topic of current affairs. Now friends, when we are reading the regional economic cooperation topic, we see that there are many institutions and many regional economic cooperations. So you need to know not only what they do, who are the members of it, where is it headquartered and all those things, but you also need to know about the various reports that they come out with. Okay, and that those reports are actually important, and simultaneously you need to be aware of the title or any important theme that they have based that report upon. Okay. Now next question is, what is the theme for Technotext 2017? The answer to this question is technical textiles towards future. Now this particular question can be linked to the employment generation or the industrial and labor policy topics of our ESI syllabus. Now again, this question of ours can be placed in the current affairs section. So you can actually see that whenever there is a particular summit, if there is any particular for example Mela or some important meeting, conferences, so you need to be aware of what was the theme. Automatically such kind of meetings would get highlighted in the newspapers or maybe any website that you're referring to for current affairs. So always stay alert and try to grasp the important basic points from it. Next comes a question which says ELSS are tax saving mutual funds that you can use to save income tax of up to 1.5 lakh under section 80C. So what does E in abbreviation ELSS stand for? Now answer to this is equity. So friends, this is a straight question. Obviously if you don't know the concept, still you can go ahead with this question if you know the full form of it, but we can just place it under the broader category of concept and static question. Now this particular question can be linked to the rural banking and financial institutions in India. When we come to NABARD's ESI syllabus, there are 4 topics that are different from RBI Grade B's ESI syllabus. So this is one of those topics that we have mentioned. Okay, so the next question, an economy is called a secondary economy if the industrial sector contributes at least how much of the total GDP figures of the country. Now the answer to this question is there is no such criterion, though through our understanding we might come to a conclusion for this particular question, but we do not have any official estimates regarding the percentage. Now this particular question can be linked to the topic measurement of growth and national income, and this automatically comes under current affairs, or maybe yes, we can actually place this in static rather than current affairs. So there's a mistake out here. We can place this question in static or the concept part, because these are some things which we just need to analyze. You're not talking about any country particularly or any year particularly. Next question says, if there are goods and services in an economy but there is no purchasing power for the people, this situation is known as what? Now the answer to this question is market failure. This is a straight concept oriented question. It is a very simple basic question. You can just use your logic. You can just eliminate answers out here, right? So something is slowing down. So definitely it would not be dynamic. It would not be initiation, or we are not analyzing anything. So friends, sometimes even try to use these kind of things to answer the questions which you can actually solve by a mere guess. Okay, it is not always possible for you to know all the questions under the sun, right? So sometimes you need to use certain logics as well. Now this particular question, we are linking it to measurement of growth and national income. Now the next question says, which among the following is the graphical representation of inflation and unemployment in an economy? Now this particular question, answer is Phillips curve. It is linked to measurement of growth and national income. Now these are certain concepts that you need to be aware of. Okay, so all the important curves, what do they stand for? What are the two parameters they are comparing? So try and jot down these important points, because any of it, if it comes in the examination, it's a very short question. If you see, they're not going very deeper into it. You just need to know what do you mean by Phillips curve. That's it. The next question says, which of the following refers to the condition of slow economic growth, high unemployment and high prices? So they're asking about a type of inflation, that is answer is stagflation out here. And this particular question can be linked to the topic of measurement of growth and national income / inflation. Now friends, when you're studying this topic, you would obviously come across GDP, GNP, you would come across the concept of real prices, nominal prices. So at that point of time, obviously your understanding of inflation is very important. So when you're studying that time about inflation, you need to automatically know about the various kinds of inflation. Now there's one point that you need to understand, that they are not testing your knowledge very deeply. Okay, they are not giving you any application based questions or as such. They're directly coming out with straight short definitions. So the key takeaway out here is, try to keep yourself clear, the concepts clear regarding definitions. Like, what do you mean by hyperinflation? What is stagflation? Don't go deeper into it, but at least when you're given the meaning of it, you need to be able to spot the option correctly. Okay. Now this automatically comes under concept and static. Now friends, one more thing you can link here. Whenever most of the students are skeptical regarding why should we actually have a look at the static portion of ESI. So you do not need to go deeper into it. Always have a basic understanding of the static portion. It would help you in current affairs. And the second thing, if such kind of questions come, you can easily score. Next question says, which among the following is used for the purpose of determining the wage of agricultural laborers in different states? Now the answer to this question is CPI-AL, agricultural laborers. Now this particular question can be linked to the measurement of growth and national income / inflation topic. So here again they're talking about CPI, the various parameters. So this is a kind of topic, once you have read this, it just registers in your mind. So make sure you have a proper list of it. And this question can be placed in the concept of the static part. Next question, which among the following state has become the first ever organic state in India? Now this answer is Sikkim. It can be linked to the topic of agriculture, characteristic status, technical and institutional changes in Indian agriculture. Now this is one of those topics that is present in the ESI syllabus of NABARD, but this is absent in RBI Grade B ESI syllabus. Now this particular question comes under the broader category of current affairs. Now friends, if you have a look at this question, you may may also place this in the general awareness category. So as I told you, when you're preparing yourself for current affairs, simultaneously you can solve many questions coming in all the three sections, in fact, ESI, ARD and GA. The next question says, More is a village which is there in Andhra Pradesh. So Mori has recently given the tag of Smart Digital Village. It is located in which of the following states? Now the answer is automatically Andhra Pradesh, as I told you in the beginning. This particular question can be linked to the topic of rural banking and financial institutions in India. This topic is again present in NABARD's ESI syllabus, but not in RBI's. Now this question can be linked to the broader topic of current affairs. So again, this is a kind of question which you can also expect in the general awareness section as well. Next, there's a question which says RBI has recently reduced the GDP growth projection for current fiscal to how much? So the answer to this question was 7.3%, but obviously this data has become obsolete. Now this particular question can be linked to measurement of growth and national income topic of our ESI syllabus. It can be placed under the broader category of current affairs. Now friends, such kind of questions become has great importance in our examination, like the various growth estimates which is released by RBI, which is released by CSO, and in fact which is released by the international financial institutions, maybe World Bank, IMF, ADB, and even OECD comes up with its projections. So what we shall be doing is soon we shall be coming out with a video where we have jotted down the growth estimates which is given by the important international institutions. So kindly watch that video as well, so you can at least solve 2 questions in your examination if you by heart those values. So next question says, the socio-economic and caste census 2011 was commenced from which among the following states? Now this is the answer to this question is Tripura, and it can be linked to the topic of social justice of our ESI syllabus. Now friends, this is the source of this question is socio-economic caste census, basically not directly from that census, but yes, about the background of that census, and in fact it is a very factual question. It was in the limelight because SECC 2011 is the first caste census that was held after independence, right? So we actually need to give more importance to its background, to how is it different from census 2011. So these are some of the points that you need to be aware of. And in fact, in EduTap's YouTube channel, we have also come up with this SECC 2011 video. Kindly go and have a look at that video, and you can find important data points that you need to memorize. We have also given certain MCQs to solve based on SECC 2011. Now the next question says, wholesale price index is released by which of the following organizations? Now the answer to this question is okay, Government of India. I guess the answer is marked wrong. I guess it is Office of Economic Advisor. Yes. So this particular question can be mapped to the topic of measurement of growth and national income, inflation, and this particular you need to be aware of the various index like CPI, WPI, IIP, what are the core industries in it, which of the organization releases these indices. So these are very, very basic question, friends, which you need to be aware of, and automatically these would fetch you marks in the examination. So pardon me for the wrong marking of this particular question. Next question says real income is. So they are just asking you to understand the concept of what is real income. So the wage someone gets in hand per day or per month minus the present day rate of inflation adjusted in percentage form. Now this particular question can be mapped to the measurement of growth and national income / inflation topic. Now this is a short concept oriented question. So when you're doing measurement of growth, you would come across various concepts. You need to be aware of those concepts, like you need to be aware of what is the difference when we say there is nominal GDP, real GDP, what is a factor that separates these two GDP, right? So these are some things that understanding is required. Okay. Now, the next question says the number of rural households in India according to socio-economic and caste census 2011 is how much? Now, the answer to this question is 7.9 crores. This particular question can be linked to population trends. This particular topic is again found in ESI syllabus of NABARD, not in RBI. And the source of this question is obviously SECC 2011. As I told you, this particular census is very important, and even the population census of 2011 also becomes important. So this can be placed under the broader category of important report, scheme, census. So kindly go through these questions and revise them as many times as possible so that you can retain the answer before the examination as well. Now, the next question says, according to GST regime, tax evasion of how much and above will be treated as non-bailable and cognizable offence. Now, the answer to this question is 5 crore. This particular question can be linked to the topic of fiscal policy. Obviously, we know that GST and demonetization were the two important events that were in news last year, right? So, obviously, questions are bound to come from such topics. So, friends, just be aware that whenever there is some current topic that is taking place or some important events that are taking place, for example banking reforms or major NPA issue, so you need to be aware of the important things that can be asked from such events. Next question says, which 5-year plan is also known as Liberalisation of Economy? Now, the answer to this question is 8, and this particular question can be mapped to the topic of role of economic planning. It comes under the ESI syllabus, obviously, and this is a concept-oriented question because we have various 5-year plans that were in place before Niti Aayog was formed. So, kindly make sure that you know at least certain important points about it. Don't go very detailed into it, and we don't have much time also. So, I would rather suggest you not to invest your time into such things. If this question is not if you're not able to answer this question also, it's actually fine at this point of time. The next question says the Nirvana Fund was set up by NSDC to help. So what is the answer? It is ventures of selected candidates trained under PMKVY but did not get any job. Now, this particular question can be linked to employment generation in India topic because it is related to skill development. So, NSDC is National Skill Development Corporation, and this particular question comes in the broad heading of current affairs. Now, friends, here just note one important point that whenever questions are asked in examination, they never give you full forms. Now, unless and until you have the understanding about the full forms of various schemes, you will not be able to answer the question. So you need to know what is NSDC, you need to know what is PMKVY, right? So all these things, whenever you're approaching a particular scheme, keep in mind you need to know the short forms of it as well. PMKVY is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Yeah, and the next question is, as of 21st September 2016, the number of PMJDY, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana accounts opened in rural areas is how much? It is 15.86 crore. Obviously, the data has become obsolete now. So, at that point of time, this particular scheme was in news, and that's why it is important for us to keep a tab on all the important developments that were taking place. And this particular question can be mapped to the rural banking and financial institutions in India. Now, this comes under the broader topic of current affairs. Next question, according to the second advanced estimates of production of major crops for 2016-17, the total food grain production is estimated at how much? Now, the answer to this question is 271.98 million tons. Now, friends, this particular question can be linked to the agriculture characteristic status topic. It comes in the broader category of current affairs because the estimates obviously keep changing and the value also keeps changing. Now, this particular question can also be found in the Ministry of Agriculture's annual report that they release, right? So you need to be aware of the latest estimates that are released by the Ministry of Agriculture. Now the next question says, an economy is called as an agrarian economy if the contribution of primary sector is a minimum of how much? Now the answer to this question is 50%. It is not an official estimate. Now the answer, this particular question can be linked to nature of Indian economy, and it comes under the broader topic of current affairs. Next question, which among the following is not an example of kharif crop in India? So the answer to this question is wheat. It can be linked to agriculture, characteristics and status, right? So this kind of a question is a concept question. They're not asking you any deep details about it. You should know what is kharif crop, what is rabi, what is zaid crop. So these are some of the basic concepts in agriculture. So without this, you would never start reading agriculture. So they have asked very basic level questions. Next, Committee on the 7th Central Pay Commission recommendation on allowances was headed by. So the answer is Ashok Lavasa, and this particular question can be linked to fiscal policy topic of our ESI syllabus. It comes under the broader topic of current affairs. So again, we have spotted a question on committee and committee heads. So we know how important it has become. So kindly make note of all the important committees. These kind of questions will help you in both GA as well as ESI. And even you might find a question in ARD section as well regarding committees. Next comes, in terms of percentage of GDP, which of the following deficit is minimum in budget estimates of 2017-18? So this is a question. Answer was effective revenue deficit. Now this particular question can be linked to the fiscal policy topic of our ESI syllabus, and it comes under current affairs. Now this particular question can be solved if you had actually seen the observations that were made in the budget at that point of time. So we can see that not only allocations but certain observations from budget also were asked in the examination. Now friends, it is also important for us to know the definitions of the concept relating to each of the options that you can see. We need to know what is fiscal deficit, what is primary, what is revenue, what is effective revenue deficit, because only when we are aware of all these things, there might be a chances that we get a direct question regarding the definition of these deficits. So again, you can score 1 brownie points there. Next comes, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development will make short-term borrowings at prevailing market rate of interest for approximately rupees 20,000 crore for on-lending to cooperative banks at what rate of interest? So the answer is 4.5%. This particular question can be linked to rural banking and financial institutions in India. So this comes under current affairs because that is related to interest rate. Obviously, there are frequent changes that are made to the interest rate that NABARD offers. So this was definitely in news at that point of time, and that is why this particular question finds a mention here. So kindly keep a tab on movement in interest rates as well. If you're really not able to answer this, it is not a big obstacle. You can skip this question, but still obviously if you had noted down a change in the interest rates, you would have marked this question as well. Now the next question says, as per the Agriculture Census 2010-11, which among the following is the state with the highest operated area in the country in terms of agriculture? Now the answer to this question is Rajasthan. This question is important. It has been taken from Agriculture Census 2010-11. Now this is the latest census that is available. Okay, there is one more census due in 2015, but we haven't received it yet. So the questions would be definitely coming from Agriculture Census 2010-11. Now this can be placed under the broader category of important reports and schemes and census. So till now we have seen that there are questions that are lifted from socio-economic caste census, from agriculture census, and I told you that census document is important. So try and revise these important points from this census ample number of times, because you can see here 3 straight marks could have been achieved if you would have been thorough with these 3 questions. Next, the MSP is decided in India based on the recommendations of which of the following? Now the answer to this question is CSCP. This is a sure shot concept oriented question, and not really concept, but yes, it is a static part, and the question can be linked to the topic of agriculture, that is characteristics and status. This topic is there only in NABARD and not in RBI Grade B ESI syllabus. Now the next question is, the second green revolution was launched in which of the following years? Now the answer to this question is 2004. It is linked to again the same topic that we had seen in the previous question, agriculture, characteristics and status. Now this kind of question is very simple, basic, and when you're reading even generally about agriculture, we link it to green revolution, right? That is the first thing which comes to our mind. So obviously these are some important milestones and years that generally you need to be aware of. So this can also form a part of general awareness sometimes in your paper. Next comes, who is the founder of the social organization called Dalit Panthers? The answer to this question is Namdeo Dhasal, and this particular question can be linked to social movements topic from the ESI syllabus. This is this kind of questions are generally asked from this particular chapter, social movements. So if possible, kindly have a look at the important social movements, the name of it and who was heading that particular movement. Next comes a question regarding the most populous state in India is. The answer to this question is Uttar Pradesh. Now this question can be linked to the urbanization topic, and obviously this topic, this question can be linked to the population census of 2011. So again we see the importance of census, three things: SECC, population census and agriculture census 2010-11. Now the next question, who started the Operation Flood in India? So the answer is Verghese Kurian, and this particular question can be linked to agriculture, characteristics and status. So again this is a kind of a question which is a very basic understanding or very basic milestone or information that you have regarding agriculture in India. Next, the question says, which act grants special powers to the Indian Armed Forces in distributed areas? Now the answer to this question is Armed Forces Special Powers Act. So it comes under the topic of Indian political system. There are two probabilities that you might have answered this question correctly. The first thing is, if you are reading, in the habit of reading newspapers, or keeping yourself updated with the current affairs, there are ample number of times that this act is mentioned, so you would definitely go for the right answer. The second thing is, under this Indian political system, you would definitely come across, you would definitely have a mention of these kind of acts. The next question says, the Scheduled Castes and Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act was enacted in which of the following year? So this is a question which can be linked to the social justice topic. So the answer to this question is 1989. So they are not asking you any update or any changes or amendments that was actually made to this particular act. They are just asking you in which year was it enacted, right? So you need to be aware of the enactment year of important acts. That can also be one of the questions in your examination. And there's one more thing that I would like to mention, that whenever there is a particular act which is in news, automatically your mind should go that you need to know the enactment year of that act. Okay, so that is something which you should ingrain it in yourself, and whenever you're reading any newspaper or something, make sure that you know which year that particular act had come into force. The next question, what does the term devaluation mean? So this is a straight short concept oriented question. It can be linked to the balance of payments topic in the ESI syllabus. The answer to this question is decrease in the official value of a currency in relation to other currencies. So if you had understood the concept of that particular chapter, so this is it's a cakewalk. This is a very simple question anyone could ask. So right. So important takeaways, always have clarity in your head regarding important terminologies. That is very important. So basically now we have discussed all the questions, right? So these questions can be put under two categories, as we had already seen, under static and under current affairs. We had a total of 40 questions. Out of it, static were 15 and current affairs were maybe 25, right? So you can see obviously the weightage of current affairs is more, okay? But static questions also form an important component of our paper. Now you need to understand this, that when I talk about static portion, what do we mean? The first thing is, if you have clarity in your head regarding many important concepts or terminologies, you would be able to answer the static questions. The second thing, if you are aware of the current affairs, the static questions are always going to be linked to those current affairs. For example, if there is any change that is being done in a particular act, so what they would do, they would ask about the establishment or enactment year of that particular act. So that question becomes a static question. So whenever you read certain important news, always extrapolate that information, always go into the background of that news. So you would definitely get questions only from the background if it comes under static part. Okay. Now, so we have done a lot. We have seen all the 40 questions, the memory-based questions that were asked in 2017 NABARD Grade A ESI section. We had also seen how they can be linked to the various topics of our syllabus. Then we categorized it into static part and current affairs part. We had seen that the current affairs part holds more weightage. So now, what are the key takeaways? Okay, so because after every analysis, it is very important for us to come down to an understanding, and keeping that understanding in mind, we need to take our preparation forward. Okay, so basically this particular section is scoring section and less time consuming. This is a point that I had earlier mentioned at the start of the lecture as well. So why is it less time consuming? Because nothing to solve. If you know the answer, you get straight 1 mark. If you don't know, you skip the question. Okay, and the next point here is preparation of the static part. Understanding of the basic concepts can do the job. We had actually seen that 3 to 4 questions can be solved if you just know the concepts clearly. Even if you do not go deep into those concepts, you can still score marks, because they're just trying to understand, or they're trying to test your basic understanding. Okay, no PhD required as such. Next, regarding preparation of current affairs related questions, most of it is going to overlap with your phase 2 preparation. Okay, so when you're going to prepare for your phase 2 ESI and ARD as well, and when you're going to prepare the current affairs section, automatically your preparation will be done for your phase 1 ESI section as well. So there are many misconceptions about people doing different kind of preparation for phase 1 and phase 2. Now that is not going to happen, because sometimes even you cannot find the difference whether this question can be placed in phase 1 or phase 2. Yes, obviously the phase 2 questions, the difficulty level would be a notch higher, but still you can manage your preparation when you're going ahead with phase 2 preparation. Okay, plus your GA preparation also would help you a lot. Yesterday we had analyzed the GA questions, and if you have actually watched both the sessions very keenly, you can understand that many of the questions can be juggled between the 2 sections also, right? Next, the last point, most of the questions can be answered from the understanding and preparation of the ESI and ARD sections for phase 2 examination. So on the whole, what we have mentioned in 1, 2, 3 is summarized in the last point. So yes, so these are the important key takeaways from today's live session regarding the ESI analysis of phase 1. Now we have seen the analysis, we have seen the takeaways, we have done a lot of discussion regarding it. Finally, what we EduTap can offer you regarding your preparation. So the first thing is the static part that I was talking about again and again, the concepts being clear. We provide 100% coverage of it. We provide you videos, we provide you notes, summaries, worksheets, MCQs. Now these worksheets basically test your fundamental understanding, and MCQs are based on the real-time experience that you require for your examination. So if you are done with this material, your static part would automatically be prepared, right? And then we give you 100% coverage of current affairs, ESI in news, budget, survey, yojana, census, schemes, agri census, PIB. So we had seen how questions are directly asked from important schemes and budget allocations. Regarding, we saw 2 questions regarding SECC, 1 question from population census, 1 question from agriculture census. So you can automatically gauge the importance of all these things. So we at EduTap have covered this extensively, so you can follow it. Next, we have come up with 2000 plus GA MCQs. As I told earlier in the key takeaways, that there is a huge overlap between GA and ESI, and somewhere it is going to help you indirectly in your ESI section as well. So we have provided more than 2000 MCQs which are based on daily current affairs. So if you solve them, many of the questions can be answered. Next, we provide topic wise mock test, and we provide 5 full length mock tests for ESI and ARD. So when you're solving these so when you're solving these mock tests, you can automatically come across various questions. So friends, whenever you're solving certain questions, if you do not know the answer, don't hesitate, but kindly go to the explanation and take it as a learning rather than getting discouraged by it, because we get a lot of queries from students that they're not scoring well in many of our mock tests, or they're not able to score as per their expectation. So basically, the prime aim for you to give a test is just to increase your learning, so that you can use that in your final day of examination. So never get discouraged or disheartened if you're not scoring well. Take it as a learning. So friends, with this we have come to the end of this live session today. We shall be coming up with the live session on ARD section of phase 1, and we shall be solving the NABARD Grade A 2017 paper as well. If there are any comments or any queries that you would like to give, kindly post them in the comment section. Our team would definitely answer your queries. Thank you so much.